Okay. Sorry, would you mind closing the door, please? Again, thank you for this session. We titled it for powering growth, and then we spotlight on the sector for the energy sector, and then we are delighted to have our senior sector director energy, Priyanta Wijayatunga, to give the opening remarks, and then after his remarks, we will have a presentation from our colleague by the region.
Attention!
And
Attention, BOF participants. Meron ba?
Okay.
Hello, hello. Attention, BOF participants. Attention, BOF participants. The next session is about to start. For energy, please proceed to auditorium halls 2 and 3.
Okay, I think the announcement was made and we were on time, even earlier than MC. So first, I invite Priyanta to give the opening remarks, and then after that, we will have a short presentation by we call for the PAO head, Project Administrative Unit head, and then we will have a panel discussion to highlighting the challenges and opportunities exist in the energy sector. So Priyanta, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Keiko. Good afternoon to all of you. It is a pleasure to welcome you to Powering Growth session at the ADB's Business Opportunities Fair. First of all, let me thank all of you for being here and for your continued interest in shaping the future of our energy sector operations in Asia Pacific region. Today, I'll share key progress in our energy sector operations, emerging opportunities, our priorities moving forward. Most importantly, I'll highlight how your expertise, technologies, and solutions are essential to this journey. Let me begin with some encouraging results as far as our operations are concerned. Since 2021, ADB has significantly increased its climate financing. So what it means is that our investments have been mainly focused on energy access and climate being addressed together. And if you look at our numbers in last year, it has grown up to about 82% of our lending in the energy sector has been identified as climate financing. So that's quite a big proportion of our lending. And then the other important thing is that our energy sector operations in private sector non-sovereign operations has tremendously increased in terms of absolute numbers and also in terms of overall proportions. Then, of course, as all of you know, our key priority is energy access in the region. Still, we have a lot of energy access issues in the region, and that's our priorities. Along with it, of course, environmental sustainability and many others. So we have been able to, since 2021, been able to provide access to over 11 million people in the region. That's a big achievement as far as we are concerned with our own money. And then, of course, regional cooperation, as you know, regional cooperation is important if you want to progress well and in the energy sector. And the latest emphasis is on ASEAN Power Grid. And at the same time, we have other regional cooperation related projects being focused on. Caspian Sea undersea cable project and India-Sri Lanka interconnection come back to discussion after many years. And there are other infrastructure projects in South Asia, Central and West Asia, Southeast we are focusing on. And also our energy sector has been diversifying into new areas. Of course, still transmission and distribution network investments, that's the area where we still dominate, simply because it's the area where sovereign investments go in, where private sector investments cannot be brought in that much, and therefore that's the domination. But even with that, we have been expanding our energy sector portfolio into other new areas, like things like solar irrigation, electric mobility, industrial emission abatement, and so on and so forth. So where do we have the opportunities? Virtually in almost all areas in the energy sector development, we have opportunities. As I said, traditional areas like transmission and distribution network development, of course, with the smart features in it, system control centers, new, smart additions to transmission distribution investments will have to come along with it. But that's an area where we continue to focus on. And then, of course, generation investments mostly left to the private sector, and sovereign coming in to facilitate such investments. Energy efficiency we continue to focus on. New areas, critical minerals, as you know, we got the board direction paper approved for critical mineral space recently, and we have almost completed the approach paper, which will come out as staff guidance. And that's an area where we will look at mostly the private sector investments. I suppose from sovereign side, it's facilitating such investments, basically to bringing the investment environment right through governance and other improvements where sovereign can help. Then hard to abate sectors and new energy sources like hydrogen, biofuels, and so on. So these are new areas of investments where you will have opportunities to get involved yourselves as consultants or contractors in investment projects, as well as in consultancy projects where technical assistance is involved. And our future direction is guided by 3 imperatives aligned with this theme: quality, innovation, and impact. Now that's very important as far as we are concerned. It's our responsibility as an honest broker, a trusted partner in our developing member countries, to make sure what we deliver is of high quality. That's number one. Then innovation. If anybody else can do this job, we should not be in the game. We should be adding value, which means we have to bring in innovative solutions, innovation to our DMCs. That's our task. We are a development bank. We are not just another bank lending money. So that's important. Innovation is extremely important. And the last but not least is the impact. Whatever we do should be impactful, should have a development impact at appropriate levels, reduce emissions, improve energy access, improve quality of life of the people. So those 3 are very important parts in our operations, and which we need to continue to focus on as we move forward. Closing, let me close with this. Energy sector development require more finance, not only more financing, but also your expertise, your technologies and solutions. Together we can power growth across Asia and the Pacific, building a cleaner, more resilient, and more inclusive energy future for all our populations across Asia and the Pacific region. With that, I stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Priyanta. And then now that we are moving toward the presentation section, so I'd like to invite the speakers to the podium. That the Leizan, the unit head of the project administration for the energy sector, and then the Hong Wei-zan, the principal portfolio management specialist, and the Kathleen Santiago, unit head portfolio management, and Takeshi Shihara, the senior energy specialist, Lanishkar Vimalasena, the senior energy specialist, and Peter Baum, the senior energy specialist. All of you, please come to the podium. I see that lots of people. Then actually, we have some seat in front, although we said reserved. It's not for this session, so please feel free to come front and then take a seat. So I'd like to just for the house rule that you see the QR code. So this is this year we compiled the project list or the business pipeline into the one file, and we are sharing with you in advance with this QR code. So please try and then download. And also for the presentation will be later available for all of you. So first, also for after the presentation, we will do the quick presentation, going for the panel discussion. For that we welcome your question through app, for the event app, that there is the live Q&A function. So please use that platform to ask the question. So later we take your question and then ask the panelists to respond. So first, I invite Blazan for the presentation.
What is it? Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to ADB's head office. Just as our senior sector director mentioned that this partnership is one very important element. As I know, among 7 sectors, only energy sector has a senior sector director to make the opening remarks, which means energy sector really value the power of partnership, including the external partnership partners like contractors, suppliers, consultants, as well as our internal partner, PPF procurement department. So let me just start, make an introduction of our energy sector. We have 7 regional teams and 2 practice teams. The first regional team covers East, Central, and West Asia, including 12 developing member countries. The second is South Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific region cover 22 member countries. And the third is South Asia, cover 6 developing member countries. 2 practice teams, including the emerging area team, which mainly focus on the relative new emerging technologies such as floating solar, offshore wind, as well as mini-grid-based renewable energy solutions. We have another practice team is energy transition team, focused more on upstream sectors, like, for instance, green hydrogen, this critical mineral and clean energy technology, the full supply and manufacturing support, as well as the early phasing the coal-fired power plants. This is our energy sector's overall portfolio. This is for the lending portfolio. As of end of last month, we have active ongoing lending portfolio, $15.6 billion. Among those, South Asia has the largest portion, followed by Central West Asia and Southeast Asia. Among these developing member countries, number 1 is Pakistan, number 2 is Bangladesh, number 3 is India. For the future of this year and next year's pipeline projects, the pipeline, our definition is the loan to be approved within this year and next year. We have, for this year, $3.43 billion. Next year is $6.11 billion. The main increase is for South Asia and Southeast Asia, including the PBL, policy-based loan, and result-based lending loans. This is for non-lending portfolio, which means technical assistance. We have $23.9 million ongoing TA projects. Among those, the majority actually the regional TA. For the then is South Asia, Central West Asia, and Southeast Asia has the largest portion. The top 1 country has an ongoing TA portfolio, India, followed by Indonesia, and third is Nepal. For the coming this year and next year, we have 57 million for this year and 39 million for next year. Sector priorities. This energy sector priority is fully aligned with the midterm review of the Energy Policy 2023 and also the midterm review of ADB Strategy 2030. There are 5 strategic focusing areas which is highlighted by the midterm review of ADB Strategy 2030, including the climate actions, private sector development, digitalization, regional cooperation and integration, and empowerment, residence, and governance. So energy sector's priority actually are fully aligned with the midterm review of ADB Strategy 2030. The first is a decarbonized energy supply system, including both to promote the renewable energy along with energy storage options to decarbonize the transmission and distribution, improve the efficiency. And the second is enabling, sorry, this actually is old. The second is integrated cross-sector approach for low carbon development. That is mainly to decarbonize the energy consumption, like in the largest 3 sectors, which has the largest energy consumption, such as transport, buildings, and industries. And also to promote this cross-sector approach in targeting air quality improvement, renewable energy plus, renewable energy for the environment protection, ecological rehabilitation, and also, as mentioned earlier, the critical mineral and clean energy manufacturing. And also try to build this building to grid ecosystem, a vehicle to grid ecosystem, and also covering the hard to abate sectors such as CCUS. The third is enabling private sector participation, that including provide the sovereign loan or the partial credit guarantee to create the enabling environment for private sector investment and to de-risk the private sector's investment. The fourth is this regional cooperation and integration. As Priyanka mentioned, that we have several flagship projects in the coming years, including the ASEAN Power Grid, this Caspian Sea Green Corridor project, as well as this India and Sri Lanka Power Interconnection project. The last but not least is strengthening the sector governance and regulatory framework, especially ADB through the TAs and policy-based landings to help to create this enabling environment for power sector's sustainable development. Then my colleagues will just introduce the priorities from each region and theme. Let me stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lei Zhan. So now we move on to Hong Wei, that she's the one that working on the South Asia portfolio. So she will talk about the region's opportunity, challenges, and then the success, hopefully.
Good afternoon, everyone. South Asia energy sector is at a turning point. This region is one of the fastest growing in the world, with certain demand driven by urbanization, industrialization, and also this rising living standards. So, but this growth also brings a lot of challenges. For example, this climate change, vulnerability to climate change, and also these disasters, concerns over this energy security and affordability to the supply, and also this the need to ensure the inclusiveness, particularly for women, for small business, and also for these vulnerable groups. So South Asia energy sector's portfolio is designed to support this resilient and also growth. Across all the 6 countries we are handling, we are combining infrastructures with reforms and also innovations. For example, in Bangladesh, our focus is on grid modernization with transmission upgrades to ensure the availability and also meet the rising demand. At the same time, our reforms on pricing, governance, and regulation is also critical for the long-term sustainability. And along with the renewable energy expansion and also this regional energy trade. And in Bhutan, hydropower remains the backbone, but diversification is a priority. ADB has been supporting the distributed solar, and we are going to support solar farms as well to help the sector to build a more resilient and balanced energy mix. And in India, we have been working together with the government and also the private sector on a broader clean energy transition, combining renewables and also this industrial efficiency with power sector reforms to further improve the performance of the distribution companies. We are also advancing our solutions, such as this carbon market, and green hydrogen, and pump hydro, and also this battery storage. And most importantly, India is also pursuing a just transition to ensure that the communities and well-beings will be supported as the energy mix shift. And yes, no, not yet. So in Maldives, we have to say that renewable integration and also this green mobility have been transforming the island system. We have endured quite a number of these hybrid systems there. So the next step is to scaling up the renewables and complement it by the waste to energy. In Nepal, hydropower is the cornerstone, powering both the domestic demand and also this regional trade. There are 2 large projects. One is Tatkushi and also Tanahu project are central to it. And also the diversification into other renewables and also our policies and reforms on tariff and also on governance will also help support to strengthen the Nepal Electricity Authority. In Sri Lanka, our priority is to support the renewable energy development with a target of achieving 70% of renewables by 2030. ADB is also supporting reform to enable the private sector participation, including the credit enhancement for the state-owned off-takers. To deliver all these priorities, we have set out several actions. Let me see how to do this. Okay, these are the 7 strategic actions. Number 1, decarbonization. So through scaling renewables and integrating them into the grid. Second, efficiency, modernizing the networks and cutting the losses. Third, digitalization through smart meterings and also this grid management system. Fourth, decentralization through installing rooftop and utility solar, floating solar with storage. Fifth, resilience and just transition. We are supporting the installation of the climate-proof systems, and then also we will consider the vulnerable groups. 6 is about this private capital mobilization through PPP, IPP, blended finance, and also these carbon markets. Last but not least, cross-border connectivity. We will leverage South Asia diverse resources to support the regional trade. So if you look at all these actions, basically it forms a practical roadmap for our sector's energy transition. How can we translate this into real opportunities? So if you look at our pipelines prepared to be delivered this year and next year, and basically there will be 4 big clusters stand out. T&D modernization. We will be supporting substations, grid strengthening, and also agricultural solarization, renewable storage, floating solar, utility solar, and also this hydropower with BESS. Digital systems, smart meters, SCADA, EMS, and also grid analytics. Sector reform, financial sustainability, regulatory reforms, and also credit enhancement for off-takers. We already share a detailed project list separately, so if any one of you will be interested in any of the specific country or project or even the package, please feel free to reach out to us. There is one good example that brings everything together. This is a Sri Lanka rooftop solar aggregation and virtual net metering project. This project is designed to support the government in achieving this, their renewable target by 2030 and also the carbon neutrality by 2050. And this is a good example of how ADB can combine these renewables and digitalization and also inclusiveness into one package. Since this project is still at the early design stage, we can only share part of the procurement opportunity and consulting opportunity with you at this moment. Let me stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hongwei. So now we move on to the next region. It's for the Central West and East Asia. So I invite Kathleen Santiago for the presentation.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Catherine Santiago. I'm the Portfolio Administration Unit Head for Central West, and I'm also presenting on behalf of Zanglei for East Asia. So these are the energy sector priorities for East and Central West Asia. On the supply side, we are aiming to decarbonize energy supply and develop new pattern energy system. Basically, this is to help our clients transition from fossil fuel generation, coal, oil, and gas to renewable energy. Oh, sorry. And also incorporating grid modernization and digital integration, allowing for grid flexibility and supply and demand balancing. For end use, we are helping our clients with smart energy systems, the deployment of battery to grid ecosystem, vehicle to grid ecosystem, and integrating cross-sectoral interventions by incorporating renewable energy into agriculture, water, and energy in all the other sectors. For hard to abate, we're also helping them with carbon capture, utilization, and storage. This includes development of carbon dioxide infused concrete, which makes it much stronger material for construction. And on the right side, we have the integrated solutions for zero carbon emission industrial parks, where basically an entire industrial zone is powered purely by renewable energy. They develop small hubs, low carbon hubs with manufacturing that does not need any fossil fuel. So over to our projects, and they're categorized by the subsector. Under decarbonization, we are now implementing UTEP, urban transport electrification, project in Kyrgyzstan, where we have deployed 120 battery electric buses in Bishkek. There will be a UTEP 2, which is also in planning stage. We have floating solar as well in Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. We have the Rogun hydropower, which we hope to start in late 2026 or 2027. This is 335-meter underground powerhouse with 3,800 megawatt of installed capacity in the Vaksh River. We have solar PPP in Guzar for Uzbekistan, and also development of wind power and battery projects in Uzbekistan. For our new country, Turkey, we have the Municipal Renewable Energy Transition Project, where we issue sub-loans to municipalities for renewable energy implementation, either for their self-use or for a sale or offset to the utility companies. Ningbo Urban Green and Low Carbon Development in PRC, that is the development of the zero carbon emission industrial park. And in Turkmenistan, these initiatives are ongoing: the development of the low carbon study, solar integration, and development of wind energy. Under efficiency and loss reduction, we have distribution strengthening. Phase 1 is now ongoing. We are going to phase 2 for Pakistan and Uzbekistan, where we install brand new transmission lines and distribution lines and substations, or rehabilitate existing ones. Under results-based lending, we are also modernizing distribution systems. Under resilience and just transition, we have the integration of battery systems for stability and resilience project in Pakistan. And under digitalization, it's smart metering in Pakistan as well. Okay, so for enabling private sector mobilization, we have processed the Reko mining. This is the very first mining project in energy. It's in Balochistan, Pakistan, which will be a $7.5 billion project, and we will help develop the 5th largest copper mine in the world. We are providing a $300 million loan with $110 million PCG to enable private sector entry. Financing and de-risking clean energy investments. This is in Georgia. We are the procurement for the BESS plant by turnkey procurement is ongoing, and it will also be connected to the grid. And for transmission and grid strengthening, including hydropower evacuation, we have transmission strengthening projects in Pakistan and Uzbekistan, as well as SWAT corridor transmission line in Pakistan as well. So thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Mr. Zangle is my counterpart for East Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathleen, for your presentation. So now we move to the last presentation for the region. It's from the Takeshi on the Southeast Asia. Again, we still have a seat in at front. So if you are standing, please come up and then take a seat. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Takeshi Hara. I'm a senior energy specialist working for the Southeast Asia and the Pacific team, energy sector office here at ADB. As always, we have been very much looking forward to this opportunity, business opportunities forum, because this is going to be also good chances or opportunity for us to get to know consulting firms and contractors who might be interested in our operations, and then also expand our business partnerships. So I'm very pleased to be here. And then today, I would like to briefly talk about our energy sector operations being focused on the issues, focus areas, and opportunities in both Southeast Asia and the Pacific sub-region, which, as you can imagine, are very different in terms of their investment requirements and then issues. Given the other time constraint, I will keep my presentation very short and succinct so that we can leave more time for interactions and Q&A. First of all, I would like to a little bit mention about the housekeeping matter. All those the information in terms of the procurement, the advertisement date, estimate cost, and then names of the projects are pretty much indicative. They can change at any time, due to, for example, change circumstances and then priorities within the government's concern, as you can imagine. So please bear with us. But of course, we would like to update the information posted on the ADB website as soon as it gets available. So with this, I would like to get to the my slides. Yeah, so these are the maps of the two sub-regions, Southeast Asia and then Pacific. We have 11 member countries in the Southeast Asia, including the Malaysia and the Singapore. By the way, those the three, the dotted lines are the expected kind of the sub-sort of the project areas of the APG, ASEAN Power Grid. Maybe you might be familiar with that. And then on the map on the right side, this is a map for the Pacific. We are covering the 14 member countries. So you can get to see the extent of our involvement and operations. It's going to be very interesting for us to be involved in the both regions operations, but it's also very much challenging for us to make a good balance between those areas, different investment requirements. So these are the priority areas. I have, for this presentation purpose, enumerated the 10 key areas or priority areas. But in many ways, those areas are pretty much interconnected with each other. I guess just through our long grant and the technical assistance activities, we've been trying to address many issues and then help our client countries to achieve energy transition and then energy security, which are perhaps overriding or underlying concerns. I guess it's going to be our sort of requirement or responsibility to make sure that any project going forward is going to address those aspects with varying degrees, of course. So first, for geothermal, offshore wind, hydropower, and solar PV, of course, these are related to the renewable energy generation. These are, of course, one of the most sort of the key important investment areas. Investment means, of course, our client countries' investments, which ADB has been supporting. Battery energy storage system, or BESS, as you know, unless we have installed the BESS at their grid system at the right timing in the proper way, they cannot secure stable renewable energy supply. So this is also very important. Together with the next one, transmission and distribution. This is a really kind of traditional area where we've been putting lots of resources, financial and then the human resources into these areas. But this transmission distribution requires updating, enhancement in the many countries, many project areas. This is going to come together with the battery energy storage system installation in many of the project cases. So that's a sort of what we call, as you know, the renewable energy integration into the grid. Energy utility services, while many of the utilities are very experienced and have strong capacities, particularly those from the Southeast Asian countries, there are a number of the energy utilities who require support in terms of their capacity development and the institutional strengthening. We've been doing this, particularly under the TA activities. And then access to energy solutions, as mentioned by our senior director, Priyansa. This actually applies to both regions, Southeast Asia and then Pacific sub-regions. They are still grappling with the last mile issue, last mile coverage of the unserved population for energy access. So we've been also supporting it. Electricity market development and then regional interconnectivity. Those are perhaps slightly different, but interconnected nowadays because our operations are going to be pretty much focused on the regional cooperation integration, covering those elements within the context of, for example, the APG, ASEAN Power Grid. So to sum up, maybe our energy sector operations right now can be broken up into the 4 areas, maybe renewable energy integration, power system strengthening, strengthening of their government capacity and then institutional reform, and then renewable energy, regional cooperation integration. Those are the perhaps 4 major areas. We make it practice to put there lots of the resources. So those are the kind of snapshot of our priority areas. So opportunities, this is a business opportunities fair. I've been focused on the types of contracts or consulting services opportunities here. This is of course apparently a very brief description, but as mentioned by the Keiko at the beginning, there is a QR code provided by the Secretariat here. I have prepared a list of the 25 procurement packages and consulting service notices which are about to be advertised through ADB public domain during the next 2 to 3 quarters. So please take a look because that is the latest procurement information which you might be interested in. So right now, I think it's predominantly comprised of the turnkey or EPC contract packages, which are, for example, covering the projects like hydropower, geothermal, renewable energy development projects, BESS, and the transmission equipment. And then, of course, we have gotten the certain, the goods contracts or equipment supply contracts covering the transmission equipment. When it comes to the consulting services, it covers many different areas, starting from the feasibility study, due diligence support, grid assessment survey, the project supervision, and then the capacity development. There are many areas. So once again, you might want to look at the detailed information, and then should you be interested in knowing more about any particular areas, kindly let me know. So those are just the brief kind of the summary of the issues we have noted from each sub-region, Southeast Asia and Pacific. I guess those are pretty much a reflection of their different investment requirements, issues, or even setups or profiles. Southeast Asia, I think they are probably more concerned about how to accelerate the progress they've been making toward the energy transition. But as they go along, of course, their investment requirement is getting larger and more complex. And then it's going to be even more challenging for them to ensure project readiness at the time of the loan or grant approval will be there. So we need to really sort of be mindful and then provide necessary support. For example, we have gotten the certain facility called the project readiness facility that is going to be provided in a loan, and then covering for example, feasibility studies or preparation of bidding documents that will help them to be implementation ready at the time of the approval of the loan or grant. For the Pacific, as you can imagine, many of the Pacific countries have gotten the common set of the challenges. Their economy size is relatively small, and then their project size is relatively limited. The capacity of the government or energy utility is limited, and then their project, or their sites are remote and then also scattered. Because of that, they are having the difficulties to secure or access experienced and quality contractors or consulting firms. So that's, I think, probably one of the key challenges they've been facing. So for that, we've been discussing and then trying to implement some of the measures for them. For example, helping them establish some sort of shared or common resources to help implement their implementation of projects and prepare of the certain energy projects. For example, we are kind of considering some kind of the regional sort of project management unit forum that's still under discussion. And then also we've been sort of looking at the possibility to, the design and implement regional procurement approach. So those kinds of things we've been sort of currently discussing. and then trying to implement. So those are issues and then challenges. Some of the key highlights from our portfolio, talking about Indonesia, once again, this is indicative, but it has gotten the $2 billion US pipeline for hydropower, geothermal, transmission, and then other sectors. That's going to be for 5 to 10 years, long term. Philippines, $3 billion US pipeline for geothermal, offshore wind, and then another sort of the areas, again, for the long term. Fiji, they have gotten the $40 million US pipeline for the transmission system enhancement on one of the major islands of the Fiji, PT level. And the ASEAN Power Grid, as I mentioned, this is also one of the key programs we've been looking at. It's going to cover potentially $17 billion US pipeline for 18 cross-border interconnections. So that's a sort of big initiative. And then finally, Pacific, covering 14 DMCs, $0.5 billion or $500 million US pipeline for energy transition with the grid integration and then other areas. So those are the key kind of the highlights from our portfolio. So this is in fact at the end of my presentation. So once again, if you're interested in knowing further about this, kindly let me know. My name is Takeshi Hara. Contact information is there. And then I'll be more than happy to provide you with any further information or help you connect with the right person who is in charge of any particular project or program. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Takeshi. So now we move on to the two thematic teams. That one start with Lanishka on the energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Keiko. Now we move on to more interesting subjects. By no means I meant to say that what we have presented so far is not interesting, but this is more interesting. ADB, as you know, is the development bank of the Asia and the Pacific, so it's not only the financing, it's more of the development of our DMCs. So the innovation is a key factor. And if you look at the areas that we have presented so far, floating solar, battery energy storage systems, have been emerging technologies about 10 years, 15 years ago. But now they have become mainstream. Now, what is next for the future? So that's what these thematic teams are looking at it. How can we help the DMCs in the emerging technologies, the innovation that comes in the next 10 years, 15 years? So that's why I said this is more interesting. So I represent one of the thematic teams, energy transition, and my colleague would present on the emerging areas later. So we look at these 6 key specific areas. Our involvement starts from with the governments at early stage discussions with the policy formulation and support for the governments to look at these innovative technologies. If you look at even solar or wind technologies, for some larger countries, these have been mainstream, but for some of the new countries or the smaller countries, they're still emerging technologies. So how do we bring that discussion into the table with the government? So that's one of the areas. And then for these emerging economies, financing is key. Not only the financing, but climate financing, concessional financing is key. So that's the second type of area that we work on. And the technology itself, which I mentioned earlier, and also the capacity building. We can bring the technology, we can bring the expertise, but how can we build the capacity in these countries? And tracking the progress, which is also very important, though that we develop the countries, the manpower, but also tracking how we move forward and how we have progressed. And finally, a very flagship event of the ADB energy transition mechanism. I'll move on to these in a bit later. So the focus areas, the first one is the blended finance platforms for countries. Recently we have established one such blended financing facility for India. And you would look at India as a larger economy, most developed and advanced economy, but how can we move the emerging technology in the context of even in India? So we brought down 200 million concessional financing, and which will be blended with our own financing to make it about a 1 billion facility for very specific emerging technologies, compressed biogas, small scale, green hydrogen, e-mobility in the rural areas, and around the clock renewable energy, and so on and so forth. Critical minerals, I don't have to talk about this more. Even the senior sector director mentioned that we already approved, the board approved the direction paper, and we are working on the approach paper now, which will be presented to the board in the coming months, which will help us finance countries in where the critical minerals are available, and how do we develop and bring the value chain. Industrial decarbonization, and if you have noticed, none of our earlier pipeline did have anything on the industrial decarbonization because it's hard. These are the hard to abate sectors: steel, cement, glass, and transport. So, so we work on these upstream technologies. Wind power development, energy storage. As I said, this is not emerging, but for certain countries, these are emerging technologies. Energy transition modeling and planning. We're working with few countries, specifically India, as well as a regional energy transition readiness index. These are very high-level modeling work with the help of World Economic Forum and some other national modeling agencies. Finally, the energy transition mechanism, which is of how do we catalyze early retirement or repurposing of fossil fuel-based generation, and then bring the renewable energy or more sustainable energy into the picture. It's a very innovative financing mechanism. We are working in many countries, started in Indonesia, and also now working in Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Pakistan, Kazakhstan. If you are interested in consulting opportunities, this is your opportunity, because sometimes we actually face difficulties in finding consultants for these upstream, very innovative, highly technical opportunities. I kept the flags purposefully. If you want to check your knowledge about the country's flags, be my guest, try these countries. I'm also struggling. Starting from Indonesia, Pakistan, India, Kazakhstan, Armenia, Cambodia, Vietnam, what else? Bangladesh, good choice. So these are few TA resources we have, and the countries, so the eligible countries for these very specific TAs are presented here. Please go to the ADB website and search by the TA number or by the name, and you will see what exactly is the TA outputs and the activities. And if you are interested, please reach out to us. Our information is available. You can reach out to me, or for each and every TA, there is a team leader. You can reach out to the team members directly. More interesting ideas to come from the emerging areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Ranishka. So that's the next will be the most interesting, and then the last presentation from us, and we will move on to the Q&A. And we're going to start the question and answer session from us asking you the question. So be prepared.
Thank you very much, Keiko. And Ranishka, thank you very much for promising a lot. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, we're good. So very happy to see you all here. And I'm, like my colleague Ranishka, I'm from a practice team, so I'll tell you a little bit about it. The title of the presentation, Cross-Sectoral Energy Solutions and Advanced Technologies. This is what we're covering, but I want to say it's also about the opportunities and the challenges that we have in hopefully working together with you in the future. As an introduction, before we go into the team, I'll start with a little story. So the photo you see on the left side is an area in Papua New Guinea. This is taken from a helicopter. You see the helicopter down there. This is for my first project opening with ADB, flying into the jungle Oro province in Papua New Guinea. Amazing sight, as you can imagine. It's the opening of a small hydropower plant. And it was even more amazing to hear what that small hydropower plant had an impact for the village that was connected to electricity just a week before. What was also amazing for me to see was that thousands of people walked for kilometers through the jungle to come to this opening. It wasn't for me, it was for the Prime Minister, but that's okay. But seeing this and seeing where the settlement, how scattered they were around the area, I was thinking, how can this country ever electrify? And how can we plan and support the country in electrifying these areas? Through an ongoing collaboration with the European Space Agency, we did just that. Use satellite imagery to map settlements and households scattered around generation projects to really maximize the impact that these projects have. And I'm telling you this story, A, because I really was impressed by this, but B, also because it shows a lot of what we as the Emerging Areas team want to do. It uses advanced technologies, it transfers knowledge and capabilities, it uses digitalized approach, digital tools to really maximize the impact of the projects. You see the whole list on the right side, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it in a more structured way. Here we go. I break it down into 3 areas that we're working on as emerging areas. First one is cross-sectoral and integrated solutions. This is really, our team is there to support not only the energy sector, but other teams where energy plays an important role. You can think of agriculture, the water-energy nexus. You can think of transportation in many different ways, but also when we're talking about data center development, for example. The second one, advanced technologies, innovative energy solutions. This is really a bit like Ranishka, but maybe not 15 years out, more 5 years out. We help our regional departments and our private sector teams to develop a pipeline, to pilot advanced technologies, really develop a pipeline for the future, what we can finance, do the feasibility studies, do the work, what it means to transfer advanced technologies to some of our DMCs. And then lastly, the knowledge transfer and utilization of digital tools. When advanced technologies are transferred, it's important that not just the technology arrives, but also the knowledge and the experiences from other countries that have that experience already. And I'll tell you a little bit more about this. On the right side, you see ongoing technical assistance and project preparations that we have. But there are lots of keywords that you'll see, like renewable energy integration, battery systems, smart grid. But I want to break this down again a little bit differently and talk about what the opportunity is to work with us and what the challenge is. It's also a challenge for you to bring to the table to support us in this. Again, cross-sectoral, the opportunity is to support the development of holistic energy solutions and increase sector integration. That means for consulting firms, it's important to be energy experts, but to also have other expertise or partner with others to bring that expertise to work together. These are different examples. Floating solar for some countries, especially island countries, these are mini grids. These basically have a lot of linkages, especially in the small Pacific islands, but we can even see it in off-grid areas in the Philippines. Integrated energy solutions for metros, railways, but also obviously for vehicles, for cars. Lastly, power supply, resilient and green power supply for data center development is a big topic, obviously. So that's just to give you a flavor of the topics we're working on. On the advanced technologies, as I said, it's an opportunity to support pilots, really new technologies for our DMCs and the deployment of latest technologies and shaping new solutions that we hope to then finance more in the future. I know BESS is already a proven technology, but the accelerated deployment of it and using it to stabilize distribution grids, for example, is something we see a big need for in countries. Other than that, smart grid technologies obviously is a lot of demand and a lot of interest in the area. My personal favorite, because it combines a lot of it, vehicle to grid integration. We have the cross-sectoral element, we have really advanced technologies, and we also have a strong reliance on digitalization there. And then I go again to the last point, transfer of latest technologies and best practices from advanced economies. This is going beyond just consultancies. It's about building knowledge partnerships. Which utilities have the experience, for example, with vehicle-to-grid integration? How can this experience come from the handful of countries that currently have large-scale application of it to some of our DMCs and really transfer this? Partnerships with beyond consultancies, as I said, with utilities, software developers, or academic institutions really play an important role there. I talked a lot about digital tools already, about satellite imagery. Everyone usually has to say artificial intelligence at least once in a presentation. Energy management, energy tech software, really a big role for smart grid development. So this is, I want to end here. These are the topics we work on. I'll leave you with a map of ongoing and upcoming initiatives that we are working on. We are working mostly through technical assistance and project preparation, and then smaller pilot projects. Very happy to take your questions, but also feel free to email me or speak to me when you see me around. Here are my contact information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you all the panelists for the presentation. As we mentioned, we move on to the Q&A. So we have a question to you. We actually thought about asking quiz, but since we kind of over time, so we just switched to the just simple question to you. So can you upload the Mentimeter, the QR code on the screen, please? So while waiting for that, we got some questions related to the administration. The first one, the question on the QR code, Takeshi mentioned, we actually showed the QR code of the project pipeline at the beginning of the session, but I understand that some of you have joined later. So after the session, we will show again the QR code for your information. So meanwhile, I'm sure you're working on your smartphone. So there's one question. I think it can be quickly addressed. I think that or I summarize. I understand you have the really big interest on the renewable energy, and one question was the ADB's the project for the wind, for the offshore, onshore. I think that the question have been answered by the presentation that we presented some of the offshore wind opportunities. So I believe that we addressed your questions. Are you ready? So let's move on. Can you change it to the question, please? So, which of the region you are interested? Yes, please vote. So this is gonna be my segment to whom I should direct the question to in the next Q&A. So it's Southeast Asia. It's only 3 people responded. Yep. Okay, it's coming. It's growing, but I see that the Southeast Asia is the one. So okay, so that will be the result for now, and we quickly move on to the next one. Next question. Yes, can we learn about you? So where are you coming from? For are you the consultant, contractor, supplier, manufacturer, CSO? And if you are not following any of the category, please select others. Yeah, so predominantly for the consultant. Thank you very much for letting us know about yourself. So let's move on to our question and answers. And the first one, I actually have a question because since most of you are consulting services, so may I ask the question to the panelists, particularly for the Peter, Ranishka, and Takeshi, because it's for the Southeast Asia, is the best of interest. So let's say for consulting services, can you elaborate more on the specific area of expertise that your team and your EAs are looking for in the coming years? So for when you have a need, how do you reach out to the businesses? So can Ranishka or Peter start, followed by Takeshi, please?
Thanks. There are many ways of reaching out to you. This is, of course, one of such instances that you come to ADB. But all of our consulting opportunities are advertised in the CMS, consultant management system. So either it's through a firm or individual consultants, everything is advertised on the CMS. And then if you are registered, you will get automatic notifications. Also sometimes, as I mentioned, most of these consulting opportunities are managed by the technical assistance resources. And the TAs have their own website or web page under the ADB. And then they will have what type of work we do, so you can actually have a pre-understanding of what kind of work we do, and then reach out to the project officers. So probably these three areas are the best ways to understand what opportunities are available.
Yeah, I think this was rather comprehensive on that side. What we're looking for, maybe on that side a little bit more, I've said that in the presentation again, that really, I think for the practice teams, it's really important to have this element of bringing in knowledge from other advanced, from applications of these technologies, maybe in other advanced markets, and being able to transfer the knowledge. And particularly from the emerging areas team, we have, as I mentioned, also a strong focus on this cross-sectoral application. So being able to really bring together, and I know some firms do that naturally, some firms might look for more partnerships, but bringing the cross-sectoral expertise with them is something we're looking for. Takeshi. Okay,
Yeah, just briefly. Actually, some of the areas which I wanted to mention have been already covered by Ranishka and then Peter. Maybe, to put it differently, I think, of course, through this kind of occasion, we can get to know about you, and then you probably, approach us at any time, and then we are really sort of appreciating this kind of the interaction. And then although what Ranishka said is true, basically most of the consultant recruitment information being advertised, disclosed, it is also true that for some of the project team members or team leaders, to reach out to their some particular consulting firms which has gotten their particular expertise or the experience, so that they can be sort of motivated, and then they are informed. There are going to be certain opportunities, and then they are going to sort of submit their applications, expressions of interest, all that. So we very frequently reach out to consulting firms and individual consultants by looking at some particular expertise or knowledge in those areas which I mentioned. So that's what I wanted to briefly mention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So there was the question from the floor before about the renewable energy. And there's a question, does ADB provide loan for waste to energy project? I understand I'm aware of one in motive, but for the others, can you elaborate if you have any waste to energy project if you are aware of? Not true.
I think that I mentioned in my presentation in Maldives, of course, in addition to installing so many hybrid systems, and the next step for us is to complement renewables with waste to energy. But I think that currently we haven't prepared any project yet in our pipeline, but it's coming, it's underway.
Thank you.
There is ongoing waste to energy projects both sovereign and non-sovereign. As I know, in PRC, under the financial intermediary loan, there's some sub-projects actually is financed through the financial intermediaries. Is for the waste to energy. And also the PSOD supported one. PSOD means our private sector operation departments provided one project in Vietnam for waste to energy. So in principle, ADB support. Of course, there are a lot of conditions. We need to do the due diligence on technically, financially, whether it's viable, and also whether that fit with overall government plan, like whether this 5R principle has been fully adopted. So there, of course, there are a lot of conditions, but in terms of technology, in terms of the samples, ADB support waste to energy. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another question is on the AI. I think we mentioned about all the digitization. And there's one question: what smart or AI-enabled technology solutions are available in energy generation, distribution, and utilization? Or let's frame it in the sense of utilization of AI for the current initiative and ADB is supporting. Is there anything you will be able to share on the utilization of AI and maybe smart technology?
Happy to take this one. I think what we're looking at, for example, in the vehicle-to-grid project I'm working on, is the management of decentralized energy resources. So be it a car, bidirectionally charging car, or solar power plant, solar PV, to better manage that, to have expectations of to better manage the expectations of what's happening in the grid, in the distribution grid. So this is something we find, for example, in other markets, in advanced markets where the technology is being used based on energy management software. Happy to talk more about that individually if you want. Anything else?
Any more smart technology related project that you can highlight to the audience?
Kathleen mentioned about this zero carbon industry parks. While this VPP, virtual power plant, actually one key feature of that. So yes, AI is kind of new. Definitely is an instrument that can help for the digital twin, for the simulation. Yes.
Thank you very much. Actually, there is one question which I may need to ask a bit of clarification or elaboration from Mr. Mohammed Zalik. That the question is, are there any opportunity for environment social impact assessment and environment social management plan for renewable energy sector? Would you, if Mr. Zalik, you're here, would you mind elaborating the question so we can ask the question to the panelists, please? Maybe moved out from the session. So then the last question, maybe I open for the floor for the one last question because we're almost up to the time. Is there anyone who wants to ask the question to the panelists from the floor? Yes, please. Mike is next to you. Sorry. Would you mind using and then state your name and where you come from? Thank you.
Here we are. Good afternoon, Jan Plandoem, a consultant for a Dutch financial advisory firm. There was mention earlier of, among all the priorities, investing more in transmission. We have seen emerging some models in Africa where transmission are as PPP procurement. Mm-hmm. Is that something also the ADB will be working on or try to develop a pipeline in that field? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the question on the transmission project and in a sense of the business model and the collaboration with the private sector, moving from the sovereign for possible for PPP or private sector collaboration. Any of the panelists, if you have anything to respond to, please.
Maybe me first.
Thank you.
I think it applies to the almost all the regions we've been covering. But I think talking about the Southeast Asia and the Pacific, because there are I think increasing demand for it, PPP and more involvement of the private sector capital because. For example, talking about the APG, ASEAN Power Grid, although it's still under sort of discussion, the conceptualization stage for many aspects, I guess, since they are looking at the 18 cross-border interconnections, of course, without the assistance of the private sector capital investment, it's very, they're difficult for them to achieve because now they are looking at the magnitude of their 17 billion US dollars. So of course, it's very much applicable for us to seriously consider PPP or, they're being proactive to bring in, their private sector capital for projects we are supporting.
Thank you very much. So this concludes the end of energy sector session. Thank you very much for your active participation, and thank you all the panelists for the presentation and sharing your knowledge. So please join me to applaud for this. So for the BOF team, thank you very much for showing the QR code. So this is the one to summarize in the project business opportunity pipeline of the session. For those who couldn't capture the QR code at the beginning of the session, please do so. And I'd like to highlight, this year we have a sector booth at the main entrance, and Energy also has it. If you have if you have further question or interested project, please stop by, and then our colleague will be able to respond your inquiries. So again, thank you very much.
I cannot overstate how important it is to ADB to strengthen quality, increase local content and labour participation, and build local capacity. So thank you, and I wish you a productive and successful business opportunities fair.
paging Mark Kaltarpurev. Paging Mark Kaltarpurev. Please proceed to the information desk. Thank you.
Join President Canada in welcoming you warmly to the ADB Business Opportunities Fair. I cannot overstate how important it is to ADB to strengthen quality, increase local content and labour participation, and build local capacity. So thank you, and I wish you a productive and successful Business Opportunities Fair.
Having a great time at the ADB Business Opportunities Fair? Let us know. Share your photos, videos, and takeaways from the event. Post on LinkedIn using the hashtags ADB BOF 2025, ADB BOF at the moment, and work with ADB. Reach out and connect with fellow participants and changemakers. Take a photo at our photo wall and introduce yourself with the hashtag ADB BOF My Intro and ADB BOF at the moment. Share who you are, what sector you work in, and your experience. Use the hashtags to find others with shared goals and explore business opportunities together. We can't wait to see and hear your stories. Enjoy the rest of the Business Opportunities Fair.